I came in with a background in work and family and parent-child relationships. So the very first course I got really involved with was that parent-child course. And part of why I've taken over the Families and Aging class is that I see there being a thread through the life cycle of the family from parent-child all the way through aging, and that those intergenerational relationships are really long-term and continuous. So in that sense, I see some continuity there. I teach about family policy partly because for a long time I taught a work and family class, and work and family is very much about policy, and so when they needed someone to do policy, I did more of that. And resource management has kind of been a thread through all that, right? So work and family is about managing resources, and yeah, so it kind of hangs together in its own way, but it's not clearly one research agenda. My ultimate love has always been the parent-child relationships, and so I'm very interested in how can we create the healthiest parent-child relationships from day one, because so much of what we do in education and our incarceration and all kinds of places, mental health, is trying to put things back together after they've fallen apart, and wouldn't it be better if they just stayed together to begin with? So I think really creating strong, healthy family systems from the beginning. So I'm pretty interested in that at a policy level. I'm interested in that at a resource management level. I'm interested in that in terms of just parent-child relationships or guardians and their children. And so it's that idea that if we could keep families healthy to start, we wouldn't spend as much time and energy fixing problems later. And I think that's one of the things in our culture is we're not great at prevention. We put so much time, money, energy into solutions, which is important. I'm not saying it's not. We'll never prevent everything, but it seems like that's something that we have to think a lot about, is how do we prevent problems and create strong, healthy family systems from the beginning. Well, we have that new prevention science major, or emphasis for our master's students. And I think we're starting to just talk and think more about prevention science. And I think just as a community, we've been talking a lot more about sort of healthy habits from the beginning. We're starting a family financial studies track to work with families and money. And again, often money habits, you try to fix the problems after the bad habits have started, and we're going to try to work with students around how to help families create good money habits from the beginning, not just fix them after they're in debt or trouble. So I think we're doing it in lots of different places in this department, but yeah, I think a lot of us are thinking about how do we help students, help families and others to just create the best opportunities for the most people before the issues come up, before there's debt, incarceration, addiction, abuse, all those things. Right, so there's sort of that long-term perspective, right? So I personally do not do research that helps families specifically. I hope that when my students go out and become members of they're going to create families themselves, many of them, and I hope that they will be able to use a lot of what we've talked about, not just in their professional lives, but also in their personal lives. So when we talk about healthy parent-child relationships or good use of resources or a variety of policies, I do want them to go out and use those ideas professionally, but also very much thinking about they are the next generation of families. Many of them will be part of or create families. And so I think for me, really driving home, some ideas about how to apply what we've talked about in class to their own world. And even now I'm teaching the Families and Aging class, and many of them have aging parents or grandparents or other family members. So even giving them a few tools that they might be able to use.